The next program will be a talk by Dr. Sriram Parasuram on understanding and appreciating Manodharma in Indian classical music. We will start in a few minutes. Please stay back. Thank you. At circuit today, Dr. Sriram Parasuram, a very versatile musician, scholar, and speaker. I'm sure most of you have heard him before, giving us one of his very entertaining as well as informative lectures, his Hindustani performances, Carnatic performances as a violinist and vocalist. So I don't think I need to go on further introducing him. He'll be speaking tonight on understanding and appreciating Manodharma in Indian classical music. And it'll be our pleasure to listen to him for the next half an hour. Thank you very much.
A very warm evening to all of you, and wish you all a very happy festival of Carnatic also. It's a very nice festival which showcases the abundant talent that our Carnatic music field is throwing up, and it's indeed heartwarming to see that. A big congratulations to the organizers for putting up such a unique festival. Today's topic is of a very general nature: understanding and appreciating Manodharma. The main point of view here today, Manodharma is a very vast topic. You can go on and on about its million facets. But for today's purpose, I'm going to speak about very broad parameters from the point of view of the Rasika. The Shastra, the practice, the tradition, the styles, the great figures that have determined Manodharma Sangita in our music is very, very vast. So we are not going to touch upon any of those. That is for another forum. In today's forum, I'm just going to probably throw light on aspects of Manodharma that need to be discerned, recognized, understood and appreciated by the Rasika. Many times we forget that the course that our great classical music takes is actually not dependent on the artists. The course, just like the course of a river, is not determined by the water. It's determined by the terrain in which it flows. Similarly, right from Bharata Muni, who wrote the Natya Shastra, Sarangadeva, they have recognized the fact that the quality of the Rasika, the depth of the Rasika, the understanding and knowledge level of the Rasika is as important as the Vidvat and the Sadhana of the Kalakar, of the artist. This responsibility of the Rasika in certain times is not so well understood. That the Rasika plays a very, very pivotal role in the course that our music takes. That empowerment that the Rasika has to feel is very critical. This can never be overstated, this can never be exaggerated, because it is very, very keen. And in today's times, I feel that it is very, very critical. You can have the greatest Vidvat, you can have the greatest tradition, but if it will fizzle out, it will die a slow death if the Rasika doesn't call for it. You know, artists very conveniently say that ஜனங்களுக்கு என்ன வேணுமோ நாங்க பாடுறோம்னு. அப்போ அந்த ஜனங்களோட டேஸ்ட், அவங்க level of appreciation comes to the fore. Classical music poses a lot of responsibility on the Rasika. Because the Rasika has to assimilate that it is 3-4 things at the same time. Classical music, whether it be Carnatic or Hindustani, is first and foremost a knowledge system. Nothing less than a physics or a biochemistry or architecture or anything. But it is a knowledge system which is assimilated, which is, the Rasika doesn't go to school to learn how to gauge the knowledge in classical music. It happens over a long period of time. The concerts that he or she listens to is the classroom. So what the Rasika gleans and assimilates, both on a heard, tangible level as well as on an intuitive level, is what builds up his knowledge system. Because you have to know what Begada is. You have to know what Chenjuriti is. You have to know the raga structures. You have to know the tala structures. As a beginning, the alphabet you have to know, the grammar, the shastra you have to know. Only then can you say that I am a Rasika. Indian classical music is not something for you to merely enjoy. It is for you to feel very alive and participate in. Correct? At any point, if I'm not clear, if you want me to clarify, I'll be happy to do so. I'm very passionate about this subject because many times people don't recognize this. They say things like, classical music soothes my heart, which I've never understood. I don't know what is soothing one's heart. They're all words which are used which are not useful. Why is classical music so great? Why is it so pivotal and why is it such a cornerstone for our culture? It's because it is something more than just pleasing sound. It is food for the mind, it is food for the soul, it is food for the heart, it is food for so many things, different things. It keeps you alive, it keeps you vital. Rasika cannot come to a kacheri or listen to a kacheri on the radio or TV just being a passive recipient of sound. No. He or she has to participate in it. Right? Am I right? Do you agree with me? And the participation illata and the whole fabric of classical music dies. Then you might as well listen to some elevator music or some, you get all these CDs, Rivers, Brooks and all those kind of, that's also very soothing. But that is not the purpose of classical music. Classical music is you have to be with me, with the artist on stage. In every Sangati you have to be there. Your attention, your knowledge feeds. Your appreciation, your negation, your disapproval also feeds the artist. That is the purpose with which I told Ramanathan that I will speak on this, because I think I can take the liberties of saying some things here. In today's talk, we will cover so this idea that Rasanubhava, which is the domain of the Rasika, and also the domain of the Rasika of the artist. The artist is also a Rasika. Unless he participates and derives the joy of the knowledge system, of the sensory, auditory perception of beautiful sound, he cannot produce great music. I have to be the first Rasika. The artist has to be the first Rasika. So Rasanubhava, in our aesthetic tradition, encompasses all this. Understanding of the system, appreciation of its nuances, and the sheer joy of nada. All this is very critical in Rasanubhava. So I would always appeal to, many people come and say that I don't know anything about music, but I enjoy it. It gives me a lot of it soothes me, it comforts me. But then I don't think one should stop there. One should constantly elevate oneself, learn from the neighbor or in the person next to your seat. So what is this? What's happening? That is a great system of learning, which I find only there in classical music in India. You can ask your neighbor, what enna ragam paadrar? Idu enna thalat? Idu eduppu enga atithama anagathama? Idu enna mari yaroda composition? Ellame nama kacheri lokanda, it can be like a classroom, a free classroom. And then you develop your repertoire of ragas, of understanding talas, of understanding kriti structure, of then going to levels of fine-tuning your appreciation of what is of value in the music. If you don't recognize what is of value in the music, how can you expect an artist to give it to you? இப்போ நான் உங்களுக்கு ஒரு டைமண்டும் கொடுத்து ஒரு கிளாஸும் கொடுத்தா உங்களுக்கு அதோட பரக் அதோட டிஸ்கிரிஷன் இல்லாட்டா உங்களுக்கு ரெண்டுமே சேமாக தான் இருக்கும். ஸோ நான் உங்களை ஈஸியாக ஏமாற்றலாம், கரெக்ட்? பட் உங்களுக்கு அந்த டைமண்ட் எப்படி டெஸ்ட் பண்ணோம், அதோட வேல்யூ என்னது, அதோட ப்ரெஷஸ்னஸ் என்னது, அது தெரிஞ்சா தென் அஃப்கோர்ஸ் இட் ஷைன்ஸ் இன் யுவர் ஹார்ட். அதே மாதிரி தான் கிளாசிக்கல் மியூசிக் ரிக்வயர்ஸ் யூ டு have that discrepancy and that discretion and discrimination of what is of value in our music. So then the music can keep up its high levels. If you are only happy with Kure Ondru Millai or Maad Meikum Kanna, that is what you will get. That is also beautiful. But you have to listen to a Balahamsa, you have to be able to listen to a Riti Gaulai, you have to be able to listen to a Narayana Gaula, you have to listen to very Vilamba Kala Kritis, because that is also the greatness of our music. So to inculcate that sense of learning for a Rasika, it's a very intuitive and beautiful, it's a learning which continues throughout your life. Am I correct? Seasoned Rasikas will tell as to how they have been listening to an artist for 30 years, 40 years, and how they have also grown as seekers, as sadhakas in music. So the commitment of the Rasika is as much, if not more, than the artists. So that is a responsibility which I throw on you, you know. What happens is, for the musician, he is faced with a dilemma, that in an audience there are going to be Rasikas at different levels. Somebody who has started listening to Carnatic music or Hindustani music for the past 1 year, and there will be a very seasoned Rasika who has heard right from GNB times and who listens to YouTube and has big collections of music at home. He comes with a different expectation for a concert. Then there will be a music student who will have different expectations from the concert. So, ellame manage panni poradha or artist oda challenge. But at the same time, he has to address almost every individual in the audience for the music to make sense. You know, and it not just be an auditory experience. That is what I am imploring, is that classical music is not just an auditory experience. It's an experience for your mind, for your chitta, for your buddhi, everything. Your entire brain functions are called, they have to be present there. And then you have a wholesome experience of what classical music is. If it is devoid of all these things, of the buddhi, of the intellect, then your experience is incomplete. So it becomes a responsibility for you to upgrade yourself. That's why I always say, Rasikas also have to upgrade themselves. As to the responsibility of an artist to upgrade himself or herself is very high. The Shraddha has to be there for me to get better at my music to whatever extent I can. The Rasika also needs to upgrade himself or herself constantly. In today's times, it's very, very easy. You have so many tools. Media helps you in so many ways. You have all the websites, some of which contain very good information, some of it which contain very spurious information. So you have to choose what is of value there. So it becomes very easy in today's times, you know. So coming to the topic of Manodharma. Manodharma appreciate pandradha kashtamana karyam. In both Hindustani and Carnatic music, we have what is called kalpita sangita, or that which is composed, right? Like a kriti or a bandish. That is already pre-composed. Then you have an element which is generally referred to as kalpana, where it encompasses the imagination of the artist within the parameter of Shastra, grammar of the raga. That is called, generally it is termed Manodharma. Manodharma has two parts to the word. One is Mano, which indicates all that has to do with the mind, manasa, or the entire, brain function. Dharma has to do with order. Order meaning making up, creating, imagination, everything within an order. In Indian classical music, the broadest basic framework of that order is what is called raga. So whether you do alapana, like Manodharma, right? Manodharma in Carnatic music generally consists of alapana. Pinna? Next. Niraval, Kalpanaswaram, Tanam, Basika. Or if you do Viritam, the different kind of Manodharma there. But all of them are happening within the rubric of the raga. So raga is king. Alapana will have its own musical structure. Swara Kalpana will have its own musical structure. But all of them are happening within the gamut of the raga. It cannot happen random. So the dharma of the raga is primary in Manodharma. Correct? Are you understanding that? So raga dharma is very, very critical. So the word dharma imposes a certain order, a certain grammar. If you sing Begada, or if you sing Natai Kurunji, or if you sing Kamboji, there is a certain framework of the raga in terms of its aroha, avroha, in terms of its prayogas, in terms of its flavors, in terms of its murchanas, in terms of its jivaswaras, so many things. So all that is encompassed by what is called and the ragata purta and the ragata sambandhapatta dharma. Then you have the dharma of tala. When you go into the realm of niraval and swaram, kalpana swara, you have added to that dharma of raga, you have the dharma of the tala. Whether it is adi talam or rupaka talam. I'm keeping this very basic. Yeah. So some of you might be put off by it because it's very basic, but please, you have to bear with me. But the tala dharma of the tala of rupakam, kanda chap, mishra chap, sangirna chap, can be even complex raga. Simbanandana talam is also within the dharma of tala. So then you have that. So basically the idea of Manodharma, the imagination of the artist, works within the rubric of dharma of both raga and tala. Correct? So this is what you have to latch on to. So unless you know the raga to an extent, nobody knows the raga completely. That is why we call it a devata. Because it is not possible to know raga fully. So unless you know the raga framework, unless you know the tala framework, is it possible for you to take in Manodharma? Only in a limited way. So that is why it is important that if you have to participate in Manodharma, the kriti you can enjoy, the kriti you can take in, because you have heard it many times. A Tyagaraja kriti, you would have heard Marubalka or Tattvamariya Dharma, you would have heard it hundreds of times. So the meaning of the words, the resonance of the words, the context, the Puranic context of the words, the philosophical import of the words, the bhava of the words, everything seeps in automatically. But Manodharma requires you to engage your knowledge. You cannot enjoy, Kamboji will not make sense unless you know what is Kamboji. There is an absolute rasa in the sound of Kamboji that is available to all. But there is rasanubhava means something much more than that. You have to understand to a certain extent. Understand, I mean, not in the terms of knowing it fully. Understand in the sense, know a little bit about how the raga moves. What is the structure of the raga? What are the prayogas that make it Kamboji? Kamboji has a unique personality. So, and the personality eppadi varudhu andha ragathukku? பிரதிமத்தியம ராகமா இல்லை சுத்த மத்தியம ராகமா இது ஔடவ ராகமா சம்பூர்ண ராகமா அந்த மாதிரி நிறைய ஒரு அண்ட் தீஸ் ஆர் ஆல் வெரி ஈஸிலி நோவபிள். ஸோ அதை தெரிஞ்சு அந்த ராகம் starts making more and more meaning to you. Manodharma has to have musical meaning. Manodharma is not just musical sound, musical meaning irukkanum adu. So the meaning வந்து Rasika if he or she has to assimilate it, a basic process of knowing has to be happen. Knowing has to happen. So beginning stages in நம்ம ராக ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்றது. கரெக்ட்? அப்போ ஆலாபன தொடங்கின உடனே many seasoned. This learning also need not be always a cognitive learning of, it can also be intuitive. கேள்வி ஞானம் சொல்லுவோம் நம்ம. ரசிகாஸ்க்கு நிறைய கேள்வி ஞானம் இருக்கும். சிலப்போ ஆர்டிஸ்டோட ஜாஸ்தி கேள்வி ஞானம் ரசிகாஸ்க்கு தான் இருக்கும். அந்த கேட்டு ஒரு ஞானம் வருது பார்த்தீங்களா? ஸோ அதுக்கு தான் கேள்வி ஞானம் சொல்றது. தட் இஸ் எங்க ஃபாதர் எங்க அப்பா எல்லாம் பாட்டு கத்துக்கல. பட் அவருக்கு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஃப்ரேஸ் பாடின உடனே அவர் ராகத்தை ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணிவிடுவார். Based on the exceptional amount of hearing, listening to music. So that is also included in what I say learning. Learning is also this is called gestaltic learning. Gestaltic learning is where you learn about something by its whole. Like when you identify a face, you may not know the structure of the eyes and nose and all that, but on the face path you say this is this person, so and so person. This is Manmohan Singh, right? Now we also know Vadera's face. Many of us didn't know, but now we know Vadera's face. We know Ram Jethmalani's face. We know everybody's faces. So on the face la namakku adu paathodna identify panna mudiyum. So that is by a gestaltic learning. Paathodna and the whole path and the whole swaroopava ulla eduthu nama recognize பண்றது. So raga recognition is a very beautiful step in the process of learning about raga. Because you learn to identify, and then you learn to identify its particular features. அதோட லட்சணங்கள், அதோட கிராமர் எல்லாம் நமக்கு மெதுவா நம்ம பாடி சரி இந்த காம்போதி அவ்வளவு எடுக்கல இன்னைக்கு அப்படி Rasika has a right to say, provided he knows basically what Kamboji is. Because he has heard probably very glorious Kamboji, very shining Kamboji, and today if he says this Kamboji was only so, he should know what is its elements. How can you pronounce judgment? If he doesn't know what is great Kamboji, how can you say, if you have not eaten good sambar, how can you say a particular sambar in a sadhi is mediocre? You cannot. You don't have that right. It's not fair. Adhe marita, ruchi, rasa, all parallel ideas of concepts of human existence. So anda alavula, if you rasa, is raga rasa means that you have to know what that raga stands for, how it works, what within it creates a sense of rasa in you. So Manodharma Sangeetathila raga dharma you have to be able to identify. You have to be able to relate to. So there are a lot of very beautiful ways in which you can, go into understanding. So like I said, Manodharma has to, in our tradition, imagination is not without boundaries. Ustad Amjad Ali Khan had once likened to, in Hindustani, Manodharma is generally referred to as upaj or badhava. That is how you explore the raga. Badhat or upaj. So he used to say that a raga is like a jail cell. A beautiful jail cell where you find freedom. So there is no sense of freedom unless you have confines. If there are no confines, it is anarchy. It is confusion. So in all our lives, even epistemologically, unless there are confines, you cannot know freedom. So in raga also, the raga framework confines you. It has its rules, it has its grammar. But within that, you explore infinitely. You find freedom. So adhering to the tenets of the raga is very critical. Manodharma has to adhere to tenets. That doesn't mean it is confined You should understand me. To be confined is not the same as to have confines. Confines are there, but you can be free within that. It's a little philosophical statement, but it applies to Manodharma very much. So I can sing Todi for my entire life and never feel exhausted. But still I can feel very much within the confines of Todi. Right? It's like a poet who has so many words at his disposal, but he or she can keep creating new ideas within that. He doesn't need to invent new words. Within the limits, confines of a language, you create. Similarly, within the parameters of a raga, a musician does Manodharma. So there are these parameters which I have just made a note of, and then maybe we'll have time to touch upon some of them. This is my new notebook, so I will read from this. So there is, what do you look for in an artist when you look at Manodharma? You can just make a mental note, and next time you listen to a kacheri, see if you are able to perceive those things. Like I told you, we don't have a word called audience in Indian aesthetics. You know, we have only Rasika. There is no audience, implies a sense of passivity on the part of the listener. Here the listener has to be very, very active. I keep coming to that point again and again, but that is very critical. So, you can judge, you can gauge, you can discern, you can discriminate whether the artist on stage, how far ahead in Manodharma is his music, based on certain parameters. Right? It's a very practical approach, a very doable approach that I present to you today. How is the depth of understanding of the raga of the artist? One heading. When you go to buy a sari, you will judge, right? In the sari vande enna count la irukku, enna depth, dariyoda weight enna Kanchipuram sari na, you will judge, right? Heavy irukka illa light irukka. So if you can make that judgment, this is also possible. You can say, how deep is the understanding of the raga of the artist? How logical is the flow of musical ideas? Every art presents itself in terms of logic also. Whether the logical flow of ideas of the artist is appealing to you, does it make sense? Or is it just random and indiscriminate? Correct? I'm just giving you some headings. Maybe if I have time, I will develop on that. What is a strategy which the artist is using to develop? What is the conviction that the artist is having in the development? ஒரு ராகா ஆலாபனா எவ்வளவு கன்வின்சிங்கா, எவ்வளவு பாசிட்டிவா, எவ்வளவு அஃபர்மேட்டிவா, எவ்வளவு அசர்ட்டிவா, எவ்வளவு அத்தாரிட்டேட்டிவா ஒரு ஆர்டிஸ்ட் ஒரு ராகம் பிரசன்ட் பண்றா, உங்களுக்கு டெஃபினெட்லி ஜட்ஜ் பண்ண முடியும். Whether it is tentative or whether it is sketchy, whether it is iffy. Iffy-na confused-ஆ, ஆர்டிஸ்டே கன்ஃபியூஸாக இருந்தால் பின்ன உங்களுக்கு கன்ஃபியூஷன் தானே வரும். So you can definitely judge that. For example, I'll give you an idea. I'll give you an example. Two of the artists whom I think rendered Alapana with absolute conviction. One was Brindama, T. Brinda. Even if she sang Raga Alapana for 30 seconds, or whether she sang it for 10 minutes, it was full of the conviction. That is, Shankarabharanam na, this is Shankarabharanam. There are no two ways about it. You know, this is it. This is 100% Shankarabharanam. M.D. Ramanathan also used to have that conviction. That is, if he sang Riti Gaule, that is Riti Gaule. There are no, so that conviction also conveys itself to you. If you are alive to it, all these will convey, but you have to be alive to it. You have to be responsive. Adha vaangikkudiya oru mindset neenga develop pannikkanum. ஒரு ஆர்டிஸ்ட் எவ்வளவு கன்விக்ஷனா ராகத்தை பிரசன்ட் பண்றார். Then there is, of course, when you talk about imagination, you have to talk about the ideative, that is, எந்த அளவுக்கு imagination, ideational ability என்ன இருக்கு ஆர்டிஸ்ட்ல, what is the degree of difficulty? இப்போ எல்லாத்துலயுமே நம்ம வந்து when you judge human endeavor, see basically a musician is also a human, an artist also presents his musical endeavor to you, right? Like how an architect presents his structural endeavor to you, or like how a doctor presents his endeavor of understanding of the body, a musician also presents his musical endeavor to you. So on the endeavor degree of difficulty, because this is art, and the degree of difficulty நீங்க உங்களால ஜட்ஜ் பண்ண முடியறதா, அதுக்கு ஒரு மார்க்ஸ் போட முடியறதா? Are you able to perceive degree of difficulty? I don't know if you watch the Olympics. Have you watched the gymnastics எல்லாம் பார்க்கறோம்டா? Do you watch? Or diving competitions, or they have a diving competition, for example, everybody can dive, but there are a set of 7 judges for whom there is what is called degree of difficulty of a dive. Whether it is a double somersault in pike position, or with twists, or how many twists in the diving பார்த்திருக்கீங்களா? Swimming pool குள்ள diving. So அதுக்கு degree of difficulty ல judgment marks உண்டு. So artist ஓட மனோதர்மால degree of difficulty இருக்கணும். அப்பதான் அது வித்வத். Degree of difficulty does not only mean speed and gimmicks. Degree of difficulty also means keeping a sajja very well. That is also very difficult. So on the degree of difficulty என்னது நீங்க perceive பண்ண முடிஞ்சா, the artist also is challenged to present his sadhana to you. Otherwise he will go ahead and sing whatever is easy and the very standard sangadis, and if you are not responsive to degree of difficulty, our music, the sadhana of our music will disappear. Mastery of musical elements, mastery of voice, mastery of tala, mastery of shruti shuddham, idellame mastery la kanakku. How Usain Bolt will master the 100 meters, a musician also has to master the octave, master the octave below the some octave, above octave, master the notes, master the talas, master the mathematics involved in swara kalpana. இதோட மாஸ்டரி தான் அவர் present பண்றார். Manodharma is also a playground where artist presents his mastery to you, his or her mastery to you. So are you alive to that mastery? So the mastery நீங்க judge பண்ண முடியணும். Voice culture mastery, swara shuddham mastery, speed oda mastery, virtuosity, the precision with which it is delivered, the power with which it is delivered. If it is an instrumentalist, and the shuddham, violin la vasikirna, and the shruti shuddham, and the bowing oda continuity, idellame elements of mastery. When they say Dwaram Venkatasamy Naidu played pristine music, that is an indication of how people were able to judge his mastery of the instrument, sound production on the instrument. So in the mastery elements, you have to be able to take it in and understand and, to an extent, judge it. Judge doesn't mean pronouncing judgment. We are all constantly evaluating things, and there's nothing wrong with evaluation. You don't form opinions about anything, but evaluating is very essential for our art. It's important for you to evaluate what is high and what is not so high. Right? Only then you will foster and nurture high culture. Ida paadi kaamikituma. Is it very dry? It's fine. Okay. Technical skill, what I talked about. And the ease of rendition. Manodharma பண்றதுல எவ்வளவு ஈஸியா அதை present பண்ண முடியும். If you see great artists like Tota Tarani, he's a visual artist, painter. The ease with which he will paint shows his mastery of the dimensions, of movement, of brush, of depth of perception, of colors. It's all a show of mastery. So ease. எவ்வளவு சுலபமா அந்த ஆர்டிஸ்ட் அதை பாடுறார், வாசிக்கிறார். ஓலட்டி வெங்கடேஸ்வரலு ரொம்ப கிரேட் ஆர்டிஸ்ட் இருந்தார். யாரெல்லாம் கேட்டிருக்கீங்க? வெரி கிரேட் வர்ச்சுவசிக் ஆர்டிஸ்ட். அவர் உட்காந்து பாடுறது அவர் பாடுறாரா கூட தெரியாது. கல்லு மாதிரி இருக்கும் அவரோட உதடு கூடி. even his lips will not move. Such ease of rendition. Amir Khan. How many of you have seen Amir Khan sing? I will encourage you to go to YouTube and watch. We have the facility. We may not have seen, I have not seen Amir Khan sing live because he passed away, I think in 1972 when I was probably just 6 years old. But I see him on some old Doordarshan recordings, and then it is absolutely brilliant. That is, he sits and it is just him and the music. There is no effort. There is that kind of ease of presentation of the raga, of Manodharma. It shows mastery. So on the ease of communicating Manodharma ideas is also a good mark of sadhana. How you are rasicifying. Rasicifying is a coined word, but I like to use that word. How well you are rasicifying Manodharma depends on your understanding of these things. Evlo easy or artist paadrar vaskirar. You know, like T.N. Krishnan Mama, I think spoke yesterday or day before yesterday, right? When he plays the violin, it seems as if he's playing with a toy. It seems very, very effortless. So that effortlessness is also a mark of mastery. Sincerity of effort. Manodharma, when you talk about dharma, there has to be satya in it. There has to be an element of truth. It has to be sincere. It cannot be shoddy. It cannot be put up. It cannot be a sham. Manodharma, this is very, very critical important. If the Rasika has to foster good music, you have to be able to judge sincerity of effort. I'm sounding like a God man, but that is, I feel like that sometimes because I find very mediocre music getting a lot of validation today. So it is not a very comfortable, beautiful position. Narasimhan sir will hopefully agree with me that some of the very, very, very beautiful, deep values in our music sometimes is not shining, is not allowed to shine. Some of the most superficial things are receiving a lot of attention. For example, a tabla player, tabla வாசிப்பர். அவர் எவ்வளோ சாதனை பண்ணிட்டு நிறைய இந்த சக்கரதார்ஸ் ரேலா எல்லாம் கணக்கெல்லாம் பண்ணுவார். பட் அவர் ஸ்டேஜில் உட்காந்து திருன்னு தலையாட்டின்ட்டு திருன்னு பண்ணால் உடனே அப்ளாஸ் வருது. Correct? Am I right? Do you see that? This is time for very honest introspection. It is correct, right? So he does farans. Farans are the easiest to do on a percussion instrument. Any percussion artist will tell you to do farans is not a big deal. நல்ல crisp strokes, நல்ல அடக்கமா நிதானமா சர்வலோகு வாசிக்கிறது, ஸ்பேசிங், நடை வாசிக்கிறதுலாம் டஃப். இந்த திரு தரக்கிட்டு அதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப ஈஸி. அது எல்லாம் ஒரு வருஷம் கற்றுண்டாலே நிறைய பேர் நல்ல ஃபரன் வாசிச்சுடுவா. கரெக்ட்? ஸோ இந்த லவுடாக பாடுறது அதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப ஈஸி. அடக்கமாக அழகாக கோல்டன் த்ரெட் மாதிரி பாடுறது ரொம்ப டிஃபிகல்ட். பட் அதுக்கு நீங்கள் அப்ளாஸ் கொடுக்கணும். சும்மா கை காலெலாம் ஆட்டின்ட்டு ஒரு ஷோ காட்டுறது. ஸோ த சின்சியரிட்டி ஆஃப் எஃபர்ட் யூ ஹவ் டு பி ஏபிள் டு ஜட்ஜ். இட்ஸ் a responsibility. Today I am giving you a lot of responsibilities. You have to be able to respond to that. Then only you will be able to preserve the best in our traditions. So today, sincerity of effort, what I am saying is that gimmicks and staging of certain things in music are receiving very good response from audiences. This is because the audience does not treat himself or herself important. You have to know your value. In the whole scheme of things, you are very valuable. The Rasika is very, very valuable. Like how you go to like again I'll give you this idea of a diamond shop. You insist on value, right? Even to a Kaigari Karan, you insist on value. You will press the bitter gourd and see if it is firm, or you will tap the elanir and find out in your own way. You don't make a casual purchase. So why don't you insist on getting value in our great classical music also? Right? It's a responsibility. and the two edged sword of what is called restraint and freedom. In Manodharma, restraint is a sign of absolute maturity. To be able to shed all that is not of artistic value and to present only the essence. That is called musical restraint. In Carnatic music, again, people like Brindama are a standing example of musical restraint. This is not of high value. Even if I can do it, I don't need to do it. So basically, how much? 5-10 minutes more? 5 minutes? Yeah. I wanted to sing some things, but I think we are out of time. Basically, there are, if you can take it in and think about it in terms of how important the Rasika is. So, Swara Kalpanana, adile eppadi how you can relate to judging value, judging what is of merit here. Because like I say, if you are able to perceive value in Manodharma, your enjoyment, so-called enjoyment of the music will go up significantly, geometrically. It's a misnomer to think that I am just enjoying music. There is nothing called enjoying, simply enjoying. The mind has to participate in it. So that is a very, very important thing. And if there are any questions, we can... I'm out of time. I have the 3-4 other points. I have to also stress about expression. The emotive element that gets communicated by the artist. The emotive element also is a very, very important part of our raga. Our ragas are Manodharma, whether it be Swarakalpana or Neraval or Alapana or Tanam, there has to be sense of bhava, raga bhava, there has to be sense of sahitya bhava when doing Neraval. You know, so that emotive element, the voice is so beautiful, so emotive. You know, when a child calls out Amma, it is the emotiveness of the voice that makes the mother come running. Similarly, in Indian classical music, we have explored the idea of the emotive impact, of expressive impact of music. So that is also a very important gauge for you. And very, very important is myself being a violin accompanist at many times. I also feel it is a responsibility of the artist, of the Rasika, to take part in the Manodharma of the accompanists. This is very, very important because the accompanist has to work harder, 10 times as hard as the main artist. As a violin player, accompanist, I don't know what the artist is going to sing. Enna talam, enna kriti, ragam tanam pallavi, romba complex or taalathila or potuduvar, Sheshagopalan sir, for example, or Kalyan Rama sir. Avalkelam vasyathnaala na solrena. Anga ukand and the challenge to do Manodharma for them is immense. So unless the Rasika also knows that this is something which the violinist is responding on the spot, spontaneous. There is absolutely no preparation, but yet he has to rise to the occasion. So the amount of vidvat, amount of artistic effort and endeavor has to be gauged by you. Similarly, in the Taniyavartanam, when everybody leaves the hall and goes, it is very important for you to understand that that is the responsibility of the Rasika to make sure that the Mridangam player also, you are able to pay attention and give him his due in terms of listening to him and discerning his vidvat. Tala itself is a big ocean. Raga is one ocean, Tala is one ocean. These oceans keep meeting at different points, but they are separately also very, very beautiful, unfathomable oceans. So, and the Mridangam artist told Manodharma, which he exhibits. See, Manodharma in our Sangeeta is all over the place. It is there within the Kriti. When you end the Pallavi of a Kriti, you are doing Manodharma. The Mridangist shadows that Manodharma by putting a small koruvai, which may be on the spot depending on the patterns suggested by the Kriti. So, Andamari, Manodharma is there all over the place. It is not just in Ragalapana section or the Kalpanas. All endings are Manodharma, all beginnings are Manodharma. So you have to be alive to Manodharma throughout the concert. Yeah, even on the spot Sangati podradhu. You know, we all do that. ஒரு பாடாந்தரத்திலேயே ஒரு சங்கதி தோணுறது அப்படி போடணும்னு. அப்போ that's also part of Manodharma. அந்த சங்கதிக்கு எம்பலிஷ் பண்ணி லால்குடி சார் வாசிப்பார். அதுவும் அவரோட மனோதர்மா. கரெக்ட். MSG sir will play in a different way. That is his interpretation of that sangadi. That is his Manodharma. So it is also very individual. So you have to be alive to individual, you have to be alive to styles of Manodharma. GNB had his own style of Manodharma. You know, Ramnath Krishnan sir had his own style of Manodharma. So if you, but you can participate in the Manodharma, the ideation, domain of the artist only if you are able to learn a little bit as you go listening to it. This is true of Hindustani also. Jasraj will do Manodharma very differently. Bhimsen ji, Kumar Gandharva has his own style and take on Mano. All of them are beautiful and valid. You know, the reason why many people say I listen only to GNB, enak GNB style mattum pidiyum, it is because they have not bothered to find out what this field of Manodharma is and how other artists, equally great artists, are also participating in it. If you like only one artist, you can remind yourself that I have a long way to go. I have some more learning to do. Rasika has a lot of learning to do. So basically, and I'm also putting myself as a Rasika. As I'm exhorting you to upgrade yourself, I'm also exhorting myself to upgrade myself. So it's a responsibility which we jointly share as Rasikas. Yeah? Thank you so much. If there are any questions, I will respond to that.
Dear friends, it is not at all a pleasant task cutting off somebody as engaging a speaker as Dr. Sriram Parasuram, but we have a schedule to stick to, so I must thank him very sincerely on behalf of all of you for that brilliant exposition on what is a very complex and very vast topic. He has put it across in his very concise, eloquent manner. Thank you, Sriram, for accepting our request, and thank you for coming.